Hello, today we're going to do a get ready with me and I'm going to tell you about the time that I was robbed. So jumping right into it, I already put on my foundation and some setting powder and some concealer, and I just think that that's so boring to do on camera, but you guys know how to do that. So this was before me and my husband got together. I was living kind of in a bad part of town, obviously, and it was the only place I could afford. The rent was like $750 plus your own lights and stuff. And my next door neighbor who had just moved in, the supervisor let her move in even though he really shouldn't have, because she didn't have a down payment. But she was like trying to get away from a bad boyfriend, but really, I mean, she was just bad news to begin with. And her, oh my gosh, the way her children used to speak to her, it was absolutely terrible. So I used to be a licensed practical nurse, and when I come home, I would do the evening shift, and I'd get home around 11, and I'd always be exhausted. And what happened is I left my keys in the lock, like a freaking dodo. And what happened is my next door neighbor took my keys, and then what happened is when I finally went to work, because those were my only keys, they were the keys that I needed for my car, and I had posted on my Facebook that like all my keys were lost and I was gonna have to buy new keys. And an ex-boyfriend I had ended up showing up at my house with like my other old set of keys that I thought I lost, so that was really nice. It wasn't keys to my apartment, it was just keys to my car. So I was able to go out to work for the first time in like a few days, or at least like drive myself to work, because my husband at the time was driving me to work. We were still friends at that point. So what happened is the first day my car was gone, they went and robbed my apartment. So it was my next door neighbor who did it and a girl at the other side. So both my next door neighbors who robbed me. The one down here on this side, she was on meth really hard. And the reason I know it was them was because my cousin ended up like getting really upset that that happened to me, and he came to the house, and he kind of had like, you know, he's got connections in the street, if you want to say so, and he put a word out like that my mother's jewelry box was stolen and my mother has passed away. So my next door neighbor somehow was like, oh, I found this jewelry box on Facebook and I bought it for $5 and I heard it was yours. And I was like, oh yeah. So I straight up asked her, I was like, so did you like rob my apartment? She clearly did. I mean, she had my stuff. And she said no. And I was like, oh, well, she's like, if I did, like, I'd be rich. And I was like, no, actually, I'm dirt poor and I'm moving because someone robbed my place here and I didn't feel safe anymore. So yeah, she was really heavily, like, unfortunately, really heavily on drugs, which is sad because, like, I don't want to see anyone like that. And, you know, as much as, yeah, it really was terrible for me to get robbed, I'd rather people just doing well, like, because I got robbed, it kind of led to me and my husband like getting together and moving that forward quickly. So yeah, so it was intense to say the least. When the cops showed up, like when I finally got home after my 3 to 11 shift and I saw what happened, it took me like 5 minutes to recognize what happened because I was just going in quick and I was gonna go hang out with Will at the time. Who becomes my husband later on, a few years later, and we were gonna go for our nice like evening walk because every time I got off work he would like go for nice walks with me because I don't like walking alone. So I walked in the apartment and I didn't recognize it right away. It took me like 5 minutes to realize my TV was gone, and then I realized like everything of value was gone. Luckily enough, I called Will and he was able to come over and help me with it. But when the police were there, they were so terrible to deal with. They didn't fingerprint for like a few days later. They didn't even care. They weren't even going to go talk to my next door neighbors, even though there was a few witnesses that had heard them talking about it, that they had robbed me. And he was like, yeah, well, I can't say for sure, so like I'm not going to go talk or do anything about it. They didn't even care. They just did not care. It took them 40 minutes to get there. And I was like, I called back and I was like, where are the police? Like, my place has been robbed. Where are you guys? They just did not care at all. And the guy was super rude. And at the time, like, I was such a goody-good two-shoes that, like, when Will started questioning the police officer, I was like, what are you doing? And the police officer was like, sir, you can leave. And I was like, yeah, you might want to leave right now because you're just not helping. But really, in all honesty, Will was trying to help. I was just too much of like a goody two-shoe, trusting the system to like not realize what was really going on. So yeah, so it was not a fun event. And after that, I realized that I probably just shouldn't really stay there anymore. Like, it's not the place for me, and that's okay too. Like, it doesn't have to be the place for me. Today we're doing super simple makeup, something really simple, just like really light. So yeah, so within like a month, I realized that that was not where I want it to be. And I realized at the time, like, me and Will were just friends at that point. And I was like going on dates with other people, but like not serious dates here. Like, I'm talking about like we went to a walk to the park or we got a coffee, like really simple, completely innocent dates. And I remember one night I was sitting there and I was talking with a patient, and I said, you know, at the very least, he's going to be my best friend, William. And that was like the exact moment that I realized like I should actually probably be with this person if at the very least we're going to be best friends, because there's obviously something there. So yeah, so it was like a month later, I said to Will, I was like, would you care like if I moved in with you? Like, how would you feel about that once I could get my mascara? And he instantly said yes right away. And then he was just like, he called me right back. He's like, actually, like, I'm not going to be comfortable if you come to my house and then you're dating other people. And I was like, I think you completely didn't realize what I was asking. I was like, I kind of mean like as dating, not me like coming there and just living with you. Like, I was like, I meant like, you know, us giving this a real shot. And of course he said yes, because like we're both a little nuts and stuff. But he's a really nice person, and he really helped me through all of that. Like, obviously things went really well because like we're married now. And it was a good journey. As soon as we got together, we got like fish crazy and pet crazy, and like it was a lot of fun, and we're still having fun. Like, we got kids now, and it was probably the best decision of my life. And really, I have a feeling that God was working right then when I got robbed, as much as it might have sucked, because it did suck. It really sucked. They took like some of my most favorite items and I never got them back. I got my mother's jewelry box back, and I got like my favorite eyeshadow back, but I didn't use it again because obviously that freaks me out. But yeah, I got everything that I really wanted back, which was my mother's jewelry box. But in the process, I got to be with my husband, and it really kind of started everything, because he was there for me the whole time. Like, when I say the whole time, I mean the whole time. Like he was driving me to work, he was making sure everything was fine, and making sure that I was taken care of, even though I didn't have it, because I lost my keys, and they had my keys for a few days, and they were just waiting for it to seem like I was completely out of the apartment. But what they didn't realize is they had the only keys to my car, so of course I wasn't going to go anywhere without my vehicle. So yeah, I'm really happy with the way that things turned out, even though, yeah, it totally sucked being robbed. Like, they took my Helly Hansen jacket, my freaking Coach purse, my juicy outfit that I just loved and stuff. So it was really upsetting, and it was really hurtful. And it definitely made me, like, wary of people, that's for sure. I mean, I was never close with either one of them, obviously. I was always out doing, like, my own thing. And, I mean, I just wasn't going to get close to those neighbors, that's obvious. Funny part is actually a few months before that, it would have been awesome, because, like, my best friend used to live in that exact apartment. We used to have the whole upper floor of an apartment building, and it was awesome. But then she decided to go on, like, a whim and go across the country for some dude. It didn't work out, and then this crazy lady moved in. Mind you, that friendship didn't work out either, so that's okay. But yeah, it just sucked. It was just such a crappy experience. And I would always recommend having renter's insurance. Because yeah, the funny part about all this was was like, I had asked my grandma if I could borrow money for rent like the month before, and she was pissed. She was like, if you want money for rent, like, for one, you're asking me this too late in the month. I was like, oh, okay, sorry. And she was like, and also if you want rent, like, I have to see all your bank accounts and see where you're spending your money. And I was like, Grandma, I just can't afford to live. Like, what do you think I'm doing with my money? So that was really hurtful. And so I borrowed the money from a friend instead. And I paid it back really quick. But yeah, I had no money when all this happened. And then when I was robbed, they took my laptop, they took my TV, and I had to replace it all. One of the people at work let me borrow their TV, so that was really nice of them. I really, really appreciated that. She was always really nice to me. The other girls weren't very nice to her, and I don't appreciate that, but there wasn't much I could do about it. And yeah, so it was just such a terrible time. I didn't have renter's insurance, so like I lost everything and was just so broke. And yeah, so I knew I had to do something. Lovely. And I gotta fix up that black mark here. So yeah, I would always recommend that if you lose your keys and you can't find them for like a few days, I would recommend changing your locks before you go out again, because my apartment got robbed and it sucked. I didn't change the locks, I just got a new key for my door instead, and I shouldn't have done that. I should have literally changed my locks. It was such a bad decision. It was poor thinking, but it brought me to where I needed to be, so I can't be ungrateful for being robbed, and I don't miss those things anyways. Like, what were they, just physical objects? My life is way better now. Yeah, so it wasn't a terrible thing. I guess it's where God needed me to go. Do you know what I mean? So that is the story of me getting robbed, and it was a very interesting time in my life, a very stressful time. I'm so happy that it's over, and I'm so happy where I am now, and it's because I got robbed that I am where I am now. So yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this story, even though it was all over the place. And I will see you next time. Like, comment what you'd like to see next, and subscribe for more. Bye!